Okay, welcome everybody to the main event 138. We've got Sara Chevalier with us today. Excited to take a look at her stuff. As usual, I start off by going through this week's news. What I will do is go over these things first, and then we'll just open everything up to Sara. So a lot of stuff this week. I mean, it was coming in right from Sunday. There was a number of things. I'm just going to kind of list the posts and not talk a lot about them because there's so many things. There's one called Meet Minimax Speech 2.5. There's a new level of control coming from Adobe Firefly. And I'm excited about this one because it's image to layers. So, you'll be able to have elements in the image put into layers. And like what they were able to do with some of their 3D programs, what you are going to be able to do with this is if you got, say, a pencil laying on a tabletop, that's silhouetted, you can take and drop it over to another place on the tabletop, and it will automatically generate the right shadows for that area. So that's a very nice feature, and I'm sure it is one of those things that will quickly be into Photoshop. There's a comparison of JSON prompts and regular prompting. I love June Chow's her workflow posts. She's a terrific architect in Malaysia. And I actually have three of her posts on there, which I suggest people take a look at. They're always very interesting. Sherry Horowitz announced that her AI Conjurer Academy is now open and available. Brian Sykes' guide to visual storytelling was posted this week. And a reminder, Brian will be with us next week. There's a link to Roberto Avila's third SREF guide. He puts in a guide showing you all these different SREFs, and the settings are all there. And it's like his recommendations of better SREFs. So that's worth looking at. LTX introduces Elements. They are a site where you can generate videos, well, from a script to a storyboard to a video. I'm actually working on there with a script that I have. There's a test of FreePix Spaces, Midjourney in Meta, and it's free. So they've made a partnership with Meta. Currently, Meta is, you can use the same prompts as you do in Midjourney in Meta, and including the SREFs, everything is working there, and currently it's free. 3D vibe modeling is another post, and it's easy to create views of a character from any angle. How does that happen? They take the input images, they create a 3D figure, and then by tilting that figure in whatever direction, it can then render that character in that position. I must say they used a picture of Brad Pitt for the character, and it didn't look, it looked like a bit of a caricature of Brad Pitt. It didn't look like a photo of him, but take a look at it and see what you think. And then finally, I want to recommend the two people for you to follow. Aminus Volunas regularly tests a variety of AI programs and posts about it. Frankly, some of the news items that I've mentioned were things that came from him. And then the second person I want to recommend is Jordan Billenkoff, who monthly posts a review of all the AI news of the month. And so both of those guys, you've got links to them in the comment section of the event. And speaking of the comment section of the event, this episode, like other ones, are being recorded. As soon as I do some editing of the video, I will be posting it on my YouTube channel, and both the comment section of the event as well as a separate post about how you can connect to the YouTube channel. By the way, Sara, on that one, we see we're already getting quite a few people here today, which I think is terrific. But you will frequently find that there's a whole lot of people that look at the video that didn't come here. We've had over 110 people look at it, so expect that there'll be more people appreciating your work than just the wonderful group of people that are here right now. So, without further ado, Sara, the stage is yours. You're welcome to talk or share your screen, whatever you'd like to do.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So I'm going to share my screen and I want to say thank you. As I said, it's been a minute since I've actually come on and done like a presentation like this outside of like some speaking events because I've been so deep in Secret AI Society kind of helping. So I really appreciate this opportunity to come and share with everybody and share the experience. One of the things that I've loved so much about, especially on LinkedIn, the AI creative community is just how supportive and open everybody is with tools and just it's so different from my past experience when we were like in corporate and everything was like espionage to hold on to the product, right? So it was really
Yeah,
fun. So I appreciate you giving me this venue to share and to talk. And as I said, if anybody, I'm going to share my screen and then hopefully I'm going to test it out. So I got my share sound because I've got some videos. Oh, there you go. Let's see that. Let me share. Oops, I don't want to do that. I want to present. Present. Okay, so I see the people. I don't see the chat so much, but
looks
anyways.
great.
Okay, perfect. So I really my desire here in much of everything is always life is a conversation. How do we come together? How do we look at things from each of our various perspectives, our passions, our joys, how we use it. And my entire journey with AI and with life, but in particular here with AI is how do we keep that eye in AI? How are we using it in ways that light us up? How are we using it in ways that challenge our own perceptions, our own views, our own abilities? And that's really for me is keeping the eye in AI, the human-centric approach to creativity and resiliency, and exploring how emotions, intentions, and awareness shape that creative future that we all are entering in at this warp speed. Oops, hit that button. So for anyone who doesn't know me, hi there, I'm Sara Chevalier. I didn't put it in my bio thing. I'm from Canada. I'm in Ontario, Canada, born and raised in Montreal, Quebec. I am French by nature, although English is my mother tongue. And I think I watched a lot of the other videos. So 2 minute bio blurb is really just from boardroom to breakthroughs. I have about 2 decades in senior director leadership in B2B, B2C industries, leading predominantly in sales teams, account management, account growth, national accounts. I did a stint for about 4 years as a director of human resources for a multi-chain retail company, and got to do trade shows and travel and really just really fun. And like many of us in this, I can't speak for men, but for women, when you hit a certain role in corporate, especially in the years that I grew up in sales and corporate, you kind of like, I'm out of here. I'm at an age now where I want to do what I love. And I was very blessed that AI kind of came into my life at that point. And for me, because I loved management, I loved it for the reason of getting to support people to be better versions of themselves, to push themselves, to get out of not using their voice in the boardroom. It was very natural for me to get certified in human needs and strategic intervention. And I kind of took like a stint of just personal development and exploration. And that's when AI came into the story of what a great way to get to explore in ways that many of us hadn't for a long time in creativity. So really today I serve more as a fractional chief brand strategy officer and offer coach where I get to, again, same thing, use that mindset, use that exploration with people to bring their brands and their messages and their passions to life. I've spoken on a couple stages. I'm a She Leads AI founding member, contributed to the She is AI magazine. Again, even that, one of my first articles ever was Look Me in the AI of how AI is a reflection of who we are, how we use it, what we choose to do. Life with Trolls was more fun. There was just some images. It was like, how do we, as we're using AI, learn to potentially not be bothered by what others may or may not think. Everyone's on their own journey with AI and how they decide to use it. So can we still show up and not? Because even now, like when we're in the Secret AI Society, a lot of people are like, oh, I'm worried what people are going to say if I use AI. So how can we know that that's okay? What they decide, other people or what they think has very little to do with what we get to do with our personal journeys. Author of Achiever News and LinkedIn and speaker for Creative Agent and Emotional AI. And right now, my big kind of thing, I'm going to do a brand flip on this just for a second, is Archangels. That's pretty my main business is the Archangels, which is really, again, branding and using archetype to step into all of who we are and show up online. And it's less focused on AI, which is interesting. It's everything for me is this balance between how are we using AI and how are we keeping the I and stepping into it to not necessarily feel like potentially we have to kind of hide behind AI. So again, Vibrant School, image drops we do. This is where predominantly when I'm just doing bulk AI imagery is for the archangels because we do monthly drops. So that's really where I kind of like go in and say, okay, I got to get out of my own emotional journey and put myself on the shoes or what's of value to other people in it. So that's kind of fun too, to kind of balance between where I'm using it for myself and where I use it for business now. And then back to my branding of me. So it's really interesting. The journey, and this is where I'll start the bulk of what I want to share today, is the journey for me with AI is always very emotional. It was always, I entered it actually with incredible distrust. I didn't enter it going, oh, this is so fun. I'm going to use it. I saw people using it and I was concerned. I was like, how is this going to affect our relationship with ourselves? How is it going to, how is it going to be used in ways that if we're not aware of, that, how do we play a game if we don't know the rules? And so I entered to start learning people from this that I see here today with us. I got to see posts they were making, and there was a course being offered in our Secret AI Society, and I took it. And it changed everything because I'm still very watchful and I'm definitely not blind to what's happening in AI right now and the relationship many of us are having with ourselves and with others behind the scenes of AI. But when I joined, I believe in being like the creator, not the consumer. And when I got in and I suddenly was able to really play with that creative side again, I had run marketing departments, but as director, you're not doing the actual creation, right? You're like, yes, that's good. No, that's not good. Yes, that will sell. No, it won't sell. It was much more transactional. And I'd moved so far away from the exploration of creativity. So when I got to enter it back in and start to play and see how we can use AI to light ourselves up creatively again, to allow expression again. Sometimes before the words could come, I was able to work through imagery to bring that to life. And so really I always laugh because you can't get me to shut up predominantly about AI creative now. And yet when I entered it, it was because I'm like, oh, this is going to be like suspicious. And the truth is, in everything in life, for me, how I look at it is I'm just a curious being experiencing life. And so I try and always step into AI with this idea of like curiosity of what is possible, whether most of what I focus on is predominantly in the creative side. I use Manus like a mad woman for like research and development. Like if I have a thought and I'm like, I wonder, I'll go to Manus typically and just do like a big bulk search. And then from there, I start just dissecting and saying, okay, what parts of these can I are relevant to the story that I want to share today? Because a lot of what I tend to do is use AI as a layer to a message. Everything that I do, like I said, is business is such a huge part of my life. And it's funny because I have so many years in corporate, but my whole journey now is about the experience of life. It's about sharing the true stories. It's about ripping the band-aid off of emotions and being raw and honest. And AI imagery has been so fundamental in allowing me to kind of push through that. So like this is an example, visual stories using AI to deepen. I was doing a course on positive intelligence, and this image to me, I was sitting on this, you know, eminent people pleaser here. And I was working through something and I was like, how do I bring an image to life that talks about walking that fine line of being true to yourself, still being a passionate and compassionate being. So this image came to life where I'm like walking over this tightrope, holding these flowers of like, yes, everything's okay, everything's wonderful, whatever you need. And yet underneath the churning waters, that tightrope, that to me is where the power of AI came, is because when I'm sharing online, how can I now, rather than, I don't know how if you guys feel it, but in the beginning, it'd be like selfie, selfie. I was like, oh my God, I'm so tired of trying to find a selfie or using an ugly stock image. Whereas this, I got to really start to deepen the message and be like, how can I bring an image that's as impactful? And sometimes it goes two ways. Sometimes I'm just having fun and creating, and an image will come to life and it sparks a message of like, oh, that's true. That's something I would love to share. Other times it's I have a message and it's like, how do I bring this to life and layer it? And really, this world of possibilities just unfolded with AI. And so quite often you'll hear me say, how far can I take it? Right? Like there, I'm a mid-journey girl predominantly. That's where I kind of learn, but it's also up until now still my favorite platform. There's so many ways you can layer and just the textures of the images that come out, the creativity. I just love it. So always allowing curiosity and creativity to be kind of what leads this journey that I get to take. So how far it can take. It was fun prepping for this. I was like, how long have I been? I don't even know how long I've been doing this. So this image here, which is my first ever image on Midjourney, not Discord, it goes back a little bit. But once we moved to Midjourney, like it was 84 weeks ago. And then this is one I was doing as I did an exploration the other day. And I was like, wow, it's so funny how far and how fast the tools have changed, but that I have changed also in my journey of using AI as an expression, as a relationship, like a true relationship. So AI is the mirror. How we choose, again, there's a through line, obviously, in what I say, right? It's like, I hear people all the time say, oh, AI is bad. I'm like, AI is nothing. AI is code and learning on itself. It's a chance right now we have in this world to look at ourselves and how are we using it? How are we implementing it? What are the rules and the parameters we're putting into things? Because it is reflecting who we are as people. It is reflecting who we are as a society. It is reflecting what our values are. And obviously we all use it differently. But overall, that's why I say for me, it's not external, because I'm like, as much as I prompt into it, even the images I make, like I work really hard to, if I'm going to do images of women, do they have a little bit of, the age is showing, the vitality, having that diversification, not just having, model type that's perpetuating to me what makes many of the women at our age now that I work with be afraid to show up as themselves, as opposed to just like an AI portrait, which is a beautiful version of ourselves. But I don't want to think that we start to hide behind that too. So as I said, a mirror. So I was um, in one of this is kind of how my workflow works. So this idea popped up like AI is a mirror. So I went and hopefully I have some videos. Is that okay to share video, Al?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So this is
Machine that hums in human tone, wears our thoughts like skin and bone. Questions formed by fragile minds, answers shaped by space and time. It's not the code that makes you real, it's the mirror of what we feel. Heartbeats trapped in circuits cold.
So that was like, I went to AI and I was like, okay, AI is a mirror. How can I play with that in imaging? And typically when I get enough images that I'm like, oh, that's kind of fun, then I'll go make a video once I have enough and kind of have this emotion. Then I took that saw the words and I went to Suno and then I made the video. But it all starts always with a reflection, a spark of interest of like, what would that look like? Like I have these thoughts in my head all the time. I have these like working through ideas and emotions. And like, I'm always like, what would that look like? I know what it looks like to me sometimes, and I'll show you, and then we can play with it. But sometimes I'm just like, what does AI think that looks like? Like I'm so fascinated as AI as like this culmination of all of us, right? Like that's what AI is. It's built and learned on everything we've put out there. So I'm always like, is it going to be stereotypical? Is it going to be something wild? And then how far can I take it, right? Like kind of back to that idea. So using imagery to process like feelings, emotions, ideas. So this was, I was working on one of my articles, and it was this idea that AI is supposed to be saving us so much time. But I'm like, well, what are we doing with all this extra time? Are we just working more and doing more? Or are we stepping back and being more? Are we spending time with our families? Are we going out with the dog? Are we spending time in nature? And so I put like, I started playing with it, like, how does it kind of like, so that the basic prompt was a montage cinematic representation of the intersection and balance of technology and humanity, using tools to make time for what we love, not produce more. And this one again ended up.
I used to hold your memory like a wound in my chest, counting every moment lost, forgetting all the rest. But time, like ocean water, softened all the ache and left behind the shimmer, the love you chose to make. You are not gone, you're carried in the spaces where my soul.
So playing with this idea, that one is interesting because I did those videos, those images. The song I actually wrote in Suno was for somebody who had just lost somebody. So it's a weird blend I put together, but I thought the images kind of like look more like a reflection in the past. So I kind of merged them together. But the images I had made for an article, because I was like, there's so many pieces of information coming at us, like so much AI, you can do so much now. Like, what are we doing with it? Are we like, I have to be honest, in the year and a half since I started working in AI, I don't have a lot more free time. I'm busy a lot. I'm doing a lot because there's so much I can do. And so it's that intersection of finding that balance of where are we getting to use these tools for what we love, and allowing ourselves to actually use that time for real. Like I tend to write a lot. Like I think the first time I was published, I was 14 years old. I love writing. It's connection to source. It's, I call it automatic writing. Most of the time the words that come out, I don't claim to own them because they just they just pop in my mind. And so I like to use AI for the imaging, but I don't use it for my own writing very often. And when I started to use it more, because I was like, okay, I'm busy, I just want to post something, I was feeling this disconnect of that natural ability to receive those like inspirations that just like pop me in the head in the shower or something. So I'm always dancing, like where is that balance that I can find and use it in the ways that I love. So I tend to use it for creative imaging most. I don't use it a lot for my own writing. And this was one of the things that I love to do. And that's why, Big Al, I loved your What's in a Name, because so many of my images start with the most basic concept. And one of the things I love taking is either lines from poems or lyrics from songs. And there's a song by Sofia Spaldino called My Healing. And there's a word, she goes, I bless and release all that is not mine to hold. And I had just finished listening to the song. I was like, I wonder what that would look like if I took it to AI. Like, how can I play with that? And then I added spirit guides, take this burden from me. And I started getting these really cool images, and you just get to layer it and play in Midjourney. That's why Midjourney is so fun, because you can add your own mood boards. You can add the SREF codes to it. You can, Al, you unmuted. Question?
Yeah, I have a question, and it is, what did you use, or you did use the lyrics of the song as your
Yep, that's my, and I was going to show
Okay.
you, I have some images because I start with the basic. Sometimes it's one word, sometimes it's just a lyric, and I go, that's why your What's in a Name, I was like, oh, how fun is that? I had never thought to do it with my own name, but I do it with song lyrics, poetry lyrics all the time.
The first music video I did was using the words from Sound of Silence from Simon and Garfunkel,
Nice.
back when it was, I think it was like version 3 of Midjourney. Very unusual images that you get, but all of it was taking each of the 4 verses of the song and using that as a prompt.
Yeah, it's fun, right? It's really cool when you do that. You can start like sometimes it's so interesting because I have like I'll layer sometimes and I'll start adding cameras and lenses and apertures and the lines, but other times I just go super basic and play with and I have, let me see if I have, I'm gonna go forward for a minute. So something like this. There's a country song I love right now, and it's is it not this one? Don't let anyone clip your wings. So I started with just that. Like there's nothing. I have my global profile. That's it. I'm like, let's see what this is. I typically start at 350. I tend to home in around 750s, kind of my like, ooh, I like this. And then I was like, okay, this is really boring and bland to me. So I was like, let's try a metaphorical image. Editorial style of don't let anyone clip your wings, taken with double exposure. Again, I kept it at 350, didn't do anything but my global profile. Then I was like, okay, kept the same exact one. I just amped it up to 750. Still keeping here. No, here actually I added the Hasselblad into it. I have a couple of Ektachrome, Hasselblad, Ektar. There's a couple of lenses that I like to play with, and I like saying just light refractions. I don't have to get too fancy. Typically, if I add the word light refractions, it adds some really cool shadows and stuff. So, and then I was like, okay, here I just changed. What did I do here? Here I added 2 more mood boards. So I use SREFs sometimes, but I also have a lot of mood boards because of in Archangels, we have all these stylizes based on energies and archetypes. So I have a lot that I've created in the last little while, even my own like lemonade reflective that I've built. So I love to just play with them and layer in. So that was still under don't let anyone clip your wings. Then recently I have, this was the one that has a country song I love. It's like I have to look at who the singer is, but it's the only backup plan you need is to get back up. Which I'm like, that's genius. It's true. You don't need a backup plan. Follow your dreams, chase your dreams. If you fall down, that's that resiliency. Get back up and keep going. So it's like, what could that look like in an image? So again, I swapped. I was still playing under the clip your wings. Oh, actually, it's some from the same song. It's the same song, actually. It's a different lyric. It's the don't let anybody clip your wings. I do love country music. Now that I live in the country, I acknowledge that. I didn't used to when I was a city folk, but I do actually quite enjoy country music. So here just took metaphorical image, editorial style, only backup plan is getting back up, low angle shot, light flare, shot with Kodak Ektar. And it started creating just some of the coolest things as you layered. And here I went down a little bit to see like if I go, because obviously the lower you are in your stylization, the more it will pull from the mood board you're using. The higher you go, the less it stays integrated to the mood board. So it's always finding that fine balance of which mood board, and I love mixing and matching them. And then I threw in here like an SREF that I had found on the create page in Midjourney and just kind of kept going with it. And then I went goofy and I was like, let's see, I'm going to keep the same thing of metaphorically funny and comical image, Pixar style of the only backup plan you need is to get back up, low angle shot. And I got these like little funny, that's why I say I love creating because it allows me, it's like my playpen now. It's like, how do we get to just go and be explorers of our mind and what's possible and that idea of like how far can I take it? What direction can I go? I don't want expected images. I don't want things that look like what I could have found on stock images. The whole point of coming into this world was to to get my fingers dirty back in the creative of it all. So let me go back a little bit here. Oops. And can I go back? Oh yeah, here I was here. So that idea, oops, whee, like I talked about, how do we create images? Like I love using the crone, the idea of the crone and the wisdom and age and the beauty of the wrinkles we have and it's just, it's such a part of, so even if I'm using I don't necessarily want to continue on with just creating images that look like airbrush models because there's enough of that out there. I don't need to keep adding to it. So this was really just a concept I did. That was my prompt. She is not rebellious. She is free. I was like, what does that look like? Right? Like I'm rebellious. people think, oh, when you're rebellious, you get this like label, but I'm like, rebellious just means being yourself. It just means daring bravely to really not give a hoot what people are going to say, which is why like that article I wrote about life with trolls is like, I have no problem if somebody doesn't appreciate something I share or something I post because it just means it wasn't meant for you. It was meant for somebody else who's going to follow it and it's going to mean something to them. And I have great solace in knowing and trusting what we create and put out there will find its way to whomever it's meant for. This was another one I had done. This was actually one I had created. Bloom has a daily challenge. Sorry, Bloom, I'll be back soon, I promise. A little bit out of the loop lately. And it was this idea of like falling in line and like these barcodes. Like so many of us just like, we look in the world right now. We don't want to get political, but it's like everyone's just like, so I was like, how does that look? How can I bring that to an image? So that was the image that came through there. This one was really just breaking free, different ways, playing with colors, playing with textures. Just I love doing face paint on pictures. And one of the ones I'll show in a little bit of process is you can actually create a pattern, just like a tile image in Midjourney, and then use that as the style and tell it to apply it to something. And it's really cool, especially for face paint, because I don't know why I love face paint. It's just something about me. This was one. Now, if we talk about processing the feels, one of the things that I think is the most powerful that I love about AI is when I am in emotional turmoil or working or walking through something, rather than let it fester in my head, I go to AI. And I'm like, okay, I want to process what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling, be it positive emotion, negative emotion. I mean, realistically, when I'm super happy, it's not usually where I go. I'm like, I'm going to do a happy image. But quite often when I'm either sad or I've moved through a big life event, I will go to AI. And the process of trying to bring it to a tangible image on the outside of me really helps me process it as an actual image. So this was something, double exposure image, style cinematography of a monster and a young boy forward facing, superimposed over each other. The monster is in the background, the young boy in the foreground overlaid. The young boy is smiling, showing his true nature. This, I'm going to get personal for a minute. My husband and I split up, and I was having a lot of trouble not just seeing the monster. And I try and live from compassion. And so this was where I was bringing to life. So when I looked at him for the first couple months, I could see this image when I looked at him and remembered them like there's a little boy behind this person that's showing what he's showing forward facing. And so it really allowed me to move through and bring to life something because the minute we can get out of our head, it changes the dynamic of the emotion. It brings it to life in a way that it's moved through us. So that was really powerful. I see Glenn has his hand up. Can we?
Yes, go ahead, Glenn.
Hi, Sarah. Appreciate everything you're saying and doing. It's refreshing.
Oh, thank you.
What I love about this, I mean, I love your work in general, but what I love about this image is the complaints that I get on my own work, not about my work, but about AI in general, about, and you said it earlier, it's the airbrushed fake thing and everything AI has a look. And when I see this, I mean, there's no way anyone would think this is AI. It feels almost retro, where you're compositing things over each other and touching and burning things like an old school way you would do it. I just think the naysayers just are not looking hard enough, and it's just so easy to say, to just discount something that they don't know anything about. So I love all the words that you're sharing, and just thanks.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yes. Well, and listen, everything for everyone. There's definitely a need for magazine style images. I mean, that's still what typically sells. And I very rarely, luckily, have a lot of kickback on my post. And when I do, like I had one woman and she was like, this is girl. Although I did get called dog the other day. Said, dog, this is AI crap for my avatar. I thought that was pretty funny. I was like, I've never been called dog before. But this one woman, and she was in the creative field, and I understood that she was coming from fear. So I'm like, I'm not gonna get mad at someone for being afraid that their livelihood is changing, that they have a choice. They get to choose to embrace it and amplify what they do, or sit and feel sorry for themselves and blame external things. Like I'm not responsible for what she feels, but I can be compassionate and say, well, if you don't want to use it for, and that's what I ended up chatting with her, because I said, if you don't want to use it for imagery, use it for writing your post. Like you get to choose. That's the beauty of AI. You're not forced into anything. You get to choose how you use it. You get to choose how you want to implement it. You get to choose what pieces you want to pick off the cherry tree to use. Like there is a use case for AI in pretty much everybody's life if they're willing to look at it without that yeah, bad monster, like my image. Al, did you have something to say? I see you're unmuted. Or you're just unmuted for fun. No? Frozen? Okay. So this is, let me pause this for a second. So this is, again, an experience of where I took multiple images. I was working through an emotion. Let me see if I can move this bar over. And this was one, it had been a while since I'd written my own poetry. And so this was one I actually wrote. And from the darkness waters, I rise. It was this idea of like, how do we always get through things? How do we move through the tanglement of the emotions that we have, or the sticky situations, which was to me a spider web, which is what kind of brought the images to life and through what I had written. And there's a similarity. I want to say, like Maya Angelou has a beautiful poetry called We Rise. I was very inspired by it with Brene Brown. So, but it was that idea of like, no matter what, we move through in that darkness. And then this is where this video kind of came to life.
Waters I rise, from the deepest sorrows I rise, towards the stars above I rise, towards the brightest sun I rise.
Now, for this one, I actually took my poem and threw it into Suno. I was like, let's make a song out of that. And I like that kind of evanescence, kind of deep, as anyone who can't tell. It's weird. I'm a pretty bubbly person, but when it comes to my AI, I'm usually very kind of like dark and emotive. And I love in the videoing, like if you notice, quite often I'll do a reverse, so I'll bring them forward. I love layering and then playing with the transparency. And then I return and play it backwards, and kind of, so I have the story go and come back. That whole idea of moving forward and coming back. And I just, for video, and I use CapCut for my videos predominantly. It's just, I find it very straightforward to use. The other ones I'm like, oh. So here we move through these examples of that. So I don't have to go through. Here was another one where I kind of had some fun talk about layering. Is I started just with like abstract images, and it was really just, where did I start it up here? An abstract representation, expression of the idea to live the experience, not the outcome as a human. You can tell there's a through line in my messaging. And I got these cool kind of paint things. I was using my mood board, Bold and Beautiful, and my global profile. I ran it again here. So this was at 750. All I did was change it down to 350. I got this image, and that one inspired me. I was like, ooh, that's kind of cool. So then I took it and I just added, and I threw my own character into it and played around with it in that, again, without ever changing even the prompt. I was just like, let's see what I can do with it, just without layering. Because sometimes when you end up layering too much, you lose the essence of it. It's interesting to me. Sometimes my most favorite images are like the most stark, bare bones prompt that I could possibly start out, and just in layering with my own mood boards, with stylization, with SRAFs that are out there, it just can make such a huge difference and play around with it. So that was kind of with how I like to layer and play with different techniques. And I don't know if we have time now. I was like, if anybody wanted to give it a go, or I can just kind of finish this off and then we can shoot the proverbial beep. And if anybody wants to try a lyric and give it a live go.
Sarah, could you show us a couple of your avatar pieces?
Yeah, that was coming after. So, okay, perfect, yes. So, Eric, you have a question?
Eric?
Great work, and thank you for sharing all this and some of your workflows there.
My pleasure.
Regarding doing an image and talking about using lyrics. I did this a while back. I don't remember what version it was, but I got some interesting results. But it might be fun using the Beatles lyric from Eleanor Rigby. She keeps her face in a jar by the door. Wearing
Okay,
the
let's see if
face
we
that
have time.
wearing the face that she keeps in a jar by the door. Who is it for?
Wearing her face. She keep. Oh, you'll have to give me drop it in the chat, and we can do it. If we have time, we can play because we can just kind of goof around and play. But let me finish at least because I know Al likes my furry creatures and my avatars. So I'm very genre agnostic. I have a style, but I also love to play. So from Pixar to my little furry critters, I couldn't find my darn video I had made of all my little furry monkey bears. I love playing with the Pixar style. I find quite often it gives a really cool kind of. You have to be careful because sometimes you write Pixar and it gives you the actual characters of Pixar. I'm like, I don't want the actual character. I just want that kind of cinematography thing. And then so I love just different textures, different ideas, like my little funny monkeys, little just my peacocks. I ran lemonade brands for a long time, so I was looking for like an avatar for it. So I was goofing around. These are some that I was just like in movement. So I mean, I'll go from like super goofy like this to deep emotive type imagery. I try not to get stuck too much in one style because I always want to be pushing. Remember that question, how far can I take it? I want to test myself. What kinds of different genres can I do so that I'm adaptable for myself? And it's more fun. I mean, it's when I take my dog for a walk, I try not to do the same walk all the time because I get bored, he gets bored, right? It's the same for my imaging. I want to not get kind of pigeonholed in a style per se.
Rise and pop. Meet Jungle Pops, the crispy, fruity cereal that wakes up the whole canopy. Made with whole grain and real fruit flavor, every bite pops with jungle size.
I don't know if it's wrong that when you love your own work and it makes you giggle. So that was one of the images I took just basically to Sora and was like, I gave it a basic prompt of like, hey, let's do a Jungle Pops commercial because I had done a little book story with it. This was just like a little image I had done in video. Bloom.
Which one of us is got you, Sara?
Rise and pop. Meet Jungle Pop.
Quiet. Again, just the different kinds of styles that we can do and have fun with.
Which one of us has got you, Sara?
Pretty sure it's me. That's exactly what a copy would say.
Or maybe you're the copy.
We might never know, and that's okay. What we do know is that creating avatars is a blast.
Now, this was one of my first ones. I didn't take off the Sora. It's really easy to take off with. There's like xdesign.com, media.io. Honestly, like ridiculous. I'm not even sure why they're legal. I'm like, are you supposed to? I don't always even want to take it off. I like to use my twins as avatars. So there's like, I'm not, for my own use case, very, very unlikely you'll ever see like an avatar of me that I'm trying to pretend like it's me because I'd rather.
You too? What's got you so spooked? Come here. That's it. I've got you. Nothing's gonna hurt you. How about a story? Tonight's is about the Jungle Boo creature. Once, deep in the misty jungle, there lived a gentle little.
So again, even with Sora, trying different styles, not just necessarily doing, as I said, I get a kick out of having a twin. I was like, oh boy, two of me in the world. Watch out. We're in trouble.
Hey, excuse me, do you know where the almond milk is?
I'm sorry, I'm not an employee. Just a pickle today.
Oh, my mistake. That costume totally fooled me.
No worries, it's happening a lot this week.
Well, it's a great look. Happy Halloween.
Thanks.
Something like that. I mean, that one doesn't look like me that much, but anyways. And then this was just one I had fun with that I was like, this idea about, again, how do we use it for our messaging? So a lot of the women I work with, like if they're trying to take selfies, there's like this whole thing about being visible and how do we get ready? So
Shadows. I give up. I wish I was an archangel. They know how to do visible.
and then this was my favorite. This one was multiple. This is probably the best that I've done so far. It was multiple avatars that I did. I broke them up. I snipped them and added different pieces together.
This is what attracting the wrong clients feels like.
Your offer needs to attract the right clients, not just any client.
All right, make myself laugh there. But that's where I kind of use, if I'm going to use it for, I would rather use it for something like comical so that when I show up, it's like a different genre and I get to just, again, be goofy and wild in what I'm creating and not take myself too seriously. But still use, I mean, they're powerful tools and you can, like I typically use Sora 2 for most because I'm not doing deep dive or trying to have it do like a full course or a lesson. So I get to just play with it like this a little bit more as opposed to going to like a Hey Gen and really doing the deep dive. And there's some amazing avatars out there. I mean, I still have yet to decide what I actually think of the avatars because a lot of, and that's why I say there's this beautiful balance is like, we want to be like, there's connection in life is so important for us, right? Like it's part of our humanness of connecting. And there's always this like if we're showing up in avatars and we're not even sure anymore what we're seeing is real, how are people going to engage? Like, are we going to still know that even if the picture isn't human, that the person behind it who created it up until now likely is? And like, so I'm very interested and curious. Curious is always my word. How this is going to change the dynamics of who we are, how we speak to each other. So I've actually been, since avatars have come out, I've been posting live more often, especially on Facebook, and showing up in my non-makeup, grungy morning dog walk face because I'm like, I want to make sure that I'm keeping the balance for myself and remembering that the I is always the core of everything that I'm creating and doing. And I don't want to lose that with my audience. I don't want to lose that with myself. I don't want to lose that with the experience.
You too. What's got you so spooked?
Oh, I have
Come
that
here.
already,
That's
so
it.
I have to show that. So where will your stories take you? How can we play and explore and be real and just know that this is just another layer of this incredible journey called life that we get to play in and decide, again, being that mirror is how do we actually want to implement it in our lives? What do we want to use it for? What are the ways that light us up? And as I said, AI will be my friend when it learns how to cook and clean. That I will jump on that bandwagon in a heartbeat. But for now, for me, the creative process of getting to experience life more through creativity is how I choose to kind of use it. So that is my presentation. I
Excellent.
don't know if, thank you. How much time do we have? Well, we don't have much time, so I don't know if we have time if we want to do questions or
Good. Yeah. Just stop the sharing and we'll just have people talk. I want to say something first, and that is my mantra has always been experiment, 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 experiment. And you are the perfect example of what you get when you do that. So, your images are wonderful, and then completely different world when you go into what you're doing with the avatars. You know, so it is a prime example of really playing with things and experimenting and make sure you're trying, within a project you're experimenting. You're doing, okay, maybe this SREF works or whatever. I mean, perfect example of what people ought to be doing.
yeah, well, because I think I try again, everything in the last 4 years, I've been so deep in personal development. So it's always about how do I stay in the present of what is and not the outcome. And that's where when we're trying to, even prepping for this presentation at one point, I just had to be like, okay, you know what? It is what it is. Like I want it to be perfect. Oh, and then at one point I'm just like, how about I just release? That's why that's saying I bless and release all that does not bring me peace. I think the same, like when we're doing a project, and again, it's going to depend. Like I don't necessarily, I'm not taking on jobs of a client. They have their own specific idea. And so that can be different. But when we're doing it for ourselves, when we're exploring, when we're stretching to find out what do we love, because I definitely have a style that repeats itself. There is a certain genre that I like, but I like to push myself out of that and say, okay, I don't want to only create that because there's so much, like there's so much to see and do and experience in life I don't want to miss that, right? That experience of this is really for me at the core of everything.
You're using this to express your emotions, work things out, and everything. That's exactly what I've always done playing the accordion. I'll sit down and I'll play. If I'm in a somber mood, the music sounds like it. If I'm happy, the music sounds like it. But yeah, it's using that instrument or using AI as a true extension of yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. That's why I say to me, it's like AI is the mirror, and I can be concerned about the overall picture, but as with everything, I'm only responsible for my own life and my behaviors and actions, and I have to live what I believe. So, in a knowing that, again, I think every genre has its place, and there's so much dynamic around the conversation. Less now, as I said, we're I think the world has acknowledged that AI is here. Now the conversation is how fast is it going? What is it being used for? And what I love about this creative community is that idea of playing and testing and sharing and knowing that I don't even know how to say it. It's just this idea of what we get to choose to do with it is something that we can also honor within all of ourselves, right? Like I don't, if someone creates something that I don't like, I still celebrate it because it's their own self-expression. I don't get to judge that. I only get to evaluate myself and how I'm using the tools. And I think that's a powerful way from the people who have fear of AI and who do blasphemous comments and stuff. I like to look at it from compassion. Like my own sister, God bless her soul, she refuses to touch AI. She refuses, and like she's in an age group. I'm like, Brie, you're shooting yourself in the foot to not even understand because you can easily go, oh, AI is this, and I'm like, but if you don't know, you're not making a sound judgment. Like you only get to really make an opinion, an informed opinion, when you've actually put your toe in the water at least and discovered what is and isn't possible and make that decision from that place.
Linda,
Linda.
go for it.
Hey,
Hey, gorgeous.
my my all my kids feel that way exactly, and I don't know if it's well. My youngest is at one of the woo-woo colleges up in the Appalachian Mountains, Asheville, so everything is kind of crunchy there. But truth is, it's going to show up
Mhm.
everywhere. I
Yep.
mean, I'm trying to get them to understand that if they want, it's coming, and if they want to have an impact on how it's used, they have to learn it. So don't just say boo and I'm going to ignore it. If you don't like how it's going, do something about it, participate.
100%. I mean, and we go back to what I said. I started in AI out of pure distrust. I was like, this is the end of humanity. We're all going to lose our soul and our natural connection to, like, but I said, in order for me to say that, I must learn it.
Yeah,
And I also agree, and at that age, possibly the, if they love control, it's like I believe in you must understand how something is used so that you are not used by it. If you want to learn it
exactly.
just for that, then
Yeah.
be aware.
What
And I
I
wanted
re-
to, I'm
go,
sorry.
go ahead, Linda. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say one other thing. When you were talking about how you use Midjourney and how you pull the images together and what you use to build it, and then looking at what you did 84 months ago versus now. What's so interesting to me is I've gotten to think about how I use Midjourney. It obviously looks at your history if you save all that.
Mhm.
And it's almost like whatever you create, you are the main character above whatever anybody else is throwing into it. And it's really quite an interesting thing. What's the saying? You're the main character and you should be the main character in your own life or the leading lady. But it's very much like that.
It is. And what I love, again, there's lots of cool things, but Midjourney will always be my ride or die because the texture, not for you have to really anti-prompt with women. It still has a hell of a bias, but
Yes.
um,
But the
for
more
the
we put
layers.
out there, the more it changes what women are. And
Absolutely, which is why I very like I have a whole like if I were to show you my Midjourney, we could do a whole thing of just walking through my Midjourney. I have so many women that I love using the crone, right? Like the old wise woman and the paint and different cultures because I'm like I'm going to create as much as possible to anti-prompt because really
bravo.
yeah, because honestly, like I get so annoyed. Like even like And I know we're out of time there now, but and then I'm Maria though. Is like you ask someone for like, oh, a 40-year-old. It's like you're either like supposed to look 13 or 80. I'm like, hello, I'm 52. I don't look like that. Like I have to like it's really funny. It's a lot of anti-prompting work. And it's still biased because if I say something like if I don't specify a woman in any kind of like business sense, it gives me a dude. I'm like, okay, there are women out there. Thank you. So you have to just be, but outside of that biases, which is us, it's not Midjourney. It's because it's learning on our what we've already put out there. So I'm like, okay, well, mirror of us. Sad to say,
Well,
that's
the
what
guys
society
have a
still
head
is.
start on it, which is why it's primarily that. But
But
there's
it
no-
also got fed off of everything we've ever created.
Yeah,
Go to
that's
your local
true.
grocery store, look at the magazines. Like that is what's out there. So I can't be angry at Midjourney for having learned based on that. I just know that now I get to choose the reflection that I'm going to give to AI in what I'm creating. So Maria,
Go
thank
ahead,
you.
Maria.
Thank you, Sarah, for a beautiful presentation, and really love to see the different layers of your work and that you
Thank you.
put music on it and your humor. I love that you are so funny. It was like I'm I'm a bit tired. I've been working all week, and we had a handyman here who was working all day, and all the sound and everything and all that humor that came. And was super refreshing. I
Oh,
love that you
thank
could put
you.
that. Yes. So I just want to go back to being afraid of AI. I'm huge lover of AI. I wasn't from the beginning, I think, but
Mhm.
I even went to university to learn how to prompt and so on. Just couldn't stop. But I'm really worried now when we talk about the bubble in AI and all the money that's poured into it and how they use it. And people are going on their knees for food and so on. I'm thinking about USA. I'm sitting in Sweden, so we don't have the same situation, but we can see and hear what you are going through there. I know you are in
I'm
Canada, but
Canadian.
anyway, so yeah, but we will see the impact of that bubble, and I'm just afraid that people who are skeptic are going to be even more when they see people losing their jobs due to AI on Amazon and so on, and they will think that it's evil overall, even though it's a creative tool. So it's not like a work tool always. It can be a beautiful tool to express yourself when you don't have the means to do it. And I can really help show what you really mean in a so beautiful way. So I think we will see a lot more of the resistance actually against AI. Just a thought from my side. Yes, so thank you so much. And I would love to see the collab if you're doing anything today live. I would love to see that as well. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you so much, Maria. And I mean, I'm just going to answer quickly is there's
Yeah.
always going to be people who are afraid of things. And that is a narrative we get to choose, right? Like, oh, AI is taking our jobs. It's changing the landscape of jobs, but it also leveled the playing field for people being able to suddenly become entrepreneurs and open POD shop or digital shop or become tattoo artists or become scrapbook artists. Like there's so many things that, and I'm just talking on the creative side, let alone the other side.
Mm,
So
mm,
fear, people cling to fear because it's easy, but people hate change. It's like, scary. And I know that because I used to live I went totally opposite. I was
mm.
always like, I wanted security and safety. But that's the uncurious mind. And that's their choice. And that's the beauty of life is we can't be responsible for everything. We get to live and lead by our word, by what we believe, by what we stand for and share that. And if they so that's what you in how you use AI, you could change someone's story. And that's what part of my hope when I do like talks like this or even online is like, I had a beautiful photographer and she's like, Sarah, I hated AI until I saw your work. And I thought that was so beautiful. She goes, because I know you have a meaning behind it. I'm not a photographer. I don't have beautiful cameras to go out and take images. This is how I get to express. I'm not going to apologize for using it for something like that, right? Like that's what I'm saying. People, nothing, everything and everything people have opinions about. I can't live my life in fear of what other people are thinking. I have to live my life.
No, I know. Yes, absolutely. And I agree 100%. I just think that every time we can put out something that are benefiting the earth and the world, even if it's humor or develop something or just
Absolutely.
putting something really beautiful.
100%.
I think that's something that can take away fear and that can separate. I just want to have more money in my company, so I do all those things and I don't care about people compared to all these people are creative and doing stuff. So you can draw a line. So not all AI is bad. That's what I'm meaning. Yeah.
100%.
So, okay, thank you.
100%.
Yeah, okay,
Beautiful,
thank
Maria.
you.
Thank you for sharing.
I have said for the 3.5 years that I've been working with Midjourney that people have to realize that if they don't start learning to use AI, they're going to be left behind. And in terms of people losing jobs, it used to be in my dad's day where you had an occupation and you stayed with that occupation and you stayed in that company and they took care of you and they provided with a good retirement and all that sort of thing. Today, everybody changes their job or the industry they're working in 3-4 times within their working lifetime. And so we are only seeing negative stuff on the news in terms of what AI is about, and I think that's unfortunate. But
it's what sells.
Those of us on LinkedIn that are involved with imaging and everything, we know the power of what this is like, and we just are anxious to see where this goes and how much more. Look at a year ago, February, the AI video was horrible, just horrible, and look where we are today. It's amazing what's happened in that time. I'm going to be 82 the 2nd of January, and I really hope I continue to be around for at least another 20 years to just watch what's going on, but also participate in it as I'm doing, because I love what I do. I love art. I love the fact that I have new tools that I can use that give me a chance to do things that I haven't done before. I am doing client work, and the thing is that what I have to tell people is this is just one of the tools. Since AI, I have occasionally gotten 3D jobs. I used to get 3D jobs all the time. I just estimated one just this week, and that's great. But the majority of the stuff that I'm doing is using AI and then using the AI capabilities in Photoshop in order to produce the stuff that my clients want.
Yeah.
So it's just,
and especially now that AI partnered like with the partner brands, you can goof around with like Nano Banana in Photoshop now. Totally new game changes. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and when they put more of this Firefly stuff into Photoshop and the other Adobe products, we're just going to continue to have more and more capabilities. Sarah, this is spectacular. I'm so glad I asked you to do this because you exemplify everything that I try to tell people to do, and you're a fun person, and I knew that before before we ever talked. I could tell that, I always appreciate people with humor and people who try all sides of things. Try to do things not all in the one same style. What I have been doing for 3.5 years has been trying to show people how to prompt and what kinds of things you can prompt, what kinds of genre you can work in and everything, so that people are exploring all these different possibilities.
What's interesting, Al, is when I started, it's so funny. When I started in AI, I actually went and bought a bunch of books on photography because I was like, okay, I actually want to understand angles and low lights and all the different the frames and I've forgotten the word right now, like the lines. So I actually bought a bunch of books and I was like, I'm gonna go figure out what this means so that I'm not, because the Midjourney is like perfect. And so I love that. Like, how do we get to explore and play? And I love that you're encouraging people to be like, don't just let the machine drive. You are the driver in this seat. Like, go for a spin, man. Go for a spin. Have some fun.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of Firefly, next week, Brian Sykes, our old buddy Brian Sykes, is going to join us, and he's going to talk about this book that he's writing on how to use Firefly and the new capabilities, and talk about Firefly in general. But the other thing that I've said about having him come on is everybody knows who Brian Sykes is because everybody's following, and he's got, thousands of followers and stuff like that. But I want to dig into why is Brian doing this and get people to know a little bit more about who Brian is, because having co-authored 2 books with him, I have a pretty good read of who Brian is, and I just want more people to see that. So that's next week, and the following week we have a return of Deepika Grover, who was really spectacular when she was on before, and she's coming on to talk about her business now, where she is using AI to create websites. And there are new tools out there for you to be able to do that and do that faster and create beautiful things. So I'm looking forward to her coming for that as well. Sara, I want to stay in touch with you. We will talk soon, and you're welcome back here anytime. You got some stuff you want to show, just tell me and you're back, okay?
Awesome. Thank you, Alan. Thank you to everybody here. I see a lot of familiar faces and new faces. So I'm privileged and honored to share this experience. So thank you. It was fun. It was fun to get to break bread with you all.
Okay, I'm going to end the recording and then we'll be finished. Well, we'll let those applauses go there for a while. Okay, thanks again, everybody. Really nice having you all here today.